time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer.
Yes, g'day guys. We're back. You're watching the Insight NRL Show for another episode. It is round 16, the second major bye. Team List Tuesday's here. It's come and gone. And as always, the show is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead and the Standard Squeeze. We've got Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer on deck with you as always to talk you through everything around 16. Boys, Josh, how you going, mate? We've been back and forth in the chat the last 2 hours, and I don't think we have one answer to any of our problems.
No, we floated up probably 10 different trade combinations between the three of us, and we may have to backflip on a couple of stances that we may have had on this podcast less than 48 hours ago. So it's going to be an interesting podcast. It's going to be interesting next 2 hours and an interesting week because this week feels like there's no primos available, but plenty of primos to trade out. So we don't really know where to spend the cash, which is a first for a while.
Yeah, definitely. Mattrix, how you going, mate? You didn't have basketball, and I know there's a few people in the chat that are pretty excited about that.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm here. We can get on the tins. I could even be taking a couple shots if the super chats pop up. But mainly just excited to be here. There's some interesting trade combinations, and I think we'll all come up with something different this week. I think teams will start looking very different in the coming, say, 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, because obviously we're now thinking of not just round 16, but we're thinking of round 19 as well now, because there are a few teams that are playing both. So it's about finding the right combinations and being wary of your numbers, not just this week, but in that third major bye. So guys, we're live as we always are. Drop those questions in. We can't answer them all, but we will get to the good ones. So make them good. Hit subscribe and like. We would love that. And if you're listening on audio, hit follow and leave us a review. Last week, you guys I missed the Sunday show. You guys obviously would have talked about the week just gone. How'd things wrap up after lockout, Josh?
Yeah, mental. I thought I had a good score for the rank that I was, but I went up a whopping 100 spots. I have not moved. I think about 4 weeks ago, I was 22K, and it's just like when you hit history and you can see your graph, it's just 4 weeks of plateauing after 7 weeks of goodness. But green arrows are always better than red, regardless of how big or small they are.
Yeah, speaking of red, unfortunately, we've got Mattrix over here. How you going, mate? You okay?
Well, I did not think that I had a good score, and it confirmed when the arrows come through. I thought it might have been worse, to be completely honest. But I've saved a couple trades along the way. I am pretty mid through basically every buy round at the moment. I don't have anywhere that I can hit panic stations on. I even was having a chat to you before, and I said, if I finish the season with a team like what I've got today, I'd be pretty happy. So, yeah, I'd say I'm in pretty good stead, and we're playing the long game. So,
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I won't worry about my week. Thanks for asking.
Good. I don't care.
Yeah, no.
Mate, you set the graphics. You set the graphics. I'm not sure why you haven't put the crown next to your name.
I know. No, I can't do the crown on this layout. So, and I was supposed to get the plastic crown, but I fucked up. And I thought we were going to get a plastic crown each, but I may as well just buy one. You guys won't need one for the rest of the year.
I've had one this season. There's no chance I'm getting another. I've had one this year, and I wasn't even on the podcast for it.
Yeah, it's a funny year. Anything can happen, and especially the way we've been talking about this week. You know, things can change very quickly. But you know, as always, we kick the show off, guys, by letting you know about the injuries gone from the week just gone. So let's get into that. HIAs to kick things off. We had Alex Twal and Alex Lobb, the two Tigers boys, two Tigers Alexes, missed last week due to HIAs, and Alex Twal hasn't been named this week either. So looking like a double week layoff for him. And Tom Starling with a HIA will miss this week as well. So I think we see Zach Wolford come into the team for the Raiders to cover him on the bench this week. But Josh Dry Arrow looks like he's re-aggravated that shoulder issue, and it seems like that's going to keep popping up for the rest of the year until he gets surgery.
Yeah, looks like he's just being held together with a lot of duct tape. Big Nigel Plum energy from him, because I think he's been named this week as well. Was looking at him as an option, but yeah, he's just you wince every time he goes into a tackle because you're not too sure how he's going to bounce out of it. But it will seem like a lengthy offseason for Arrow and his rehabilitation. I guess a big one, David Fafita had that ankle pre-game. We saw him be snubbed from Origin because of the injury. He didn't play last week. We needed him last week. We had a million outs. So has been named this week, but it's always nervy. Playing sort of back of the round, 3 o'clock on a Saturday and a bye week is never ideal, but fingers crossed he gets through the captain's run on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's going to be a guy we're talking about at the back end of the show when we talk about captains and vice captains, so you can stay tuned for that one. A couple of boys that aren't really overly Supercoach relevant, and Rocco Berry with a shoulder issue, a bit of a burner or a bad burner, a nerve issue, I think it is, so he'll miss this week. RTS comes back in for the Warriors to replace him. Not a bad replacement. Adam Pompey with a leg issue as well, not Supercoach relevant, really, depending. I think he's been named anyway. The question now becomes, does SJ kick goals, or does it continue to be Pompey or Chanel Harris-Tavita when he's on the field? So a few questions there. But Mattrix, Dom Young, hamstring pre-game, missed him last week, and a tough miss when a lot of us may have stuffed our reserves up and ended up having to play him in Cop and AE. But he's been named this week, so positive signs.
Yeah. I'm just lucky I had Joey Lussick. So I'm happy that Dom Young was out last week, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, a big chance of re-aggravating a hamstring injury afterwards. Hopefully it was just pretty really but it's probably scaring me off a little vice captain or captain option there with Dom Young. Michael Jennings, not really Supercoach relevant. He's done a hammy as well. And Taniela Paseka with a dislocated thumb. Sipley with an MCL aggravation. There was a lot going on. And I suppose we just didn't mention Ruben Garrick because by the time his 11 days get over with the bye, he'll be back the next time that they line up to play. So
I guess the advantage with us, with Garrick, for us that have Garrick at the moment, is that he was always going to miss 17 with the bye anyway. So it sucks that he misses 16. He misses that major bye, and a lot of people bought him last week or the week before. Shout out to Hamo, who, when Dom Young was out, he traded Dom Young to Ruben Garrick last week. So that hurts for Hamo.
It netted him 9 points though, so I don't feel bad for him.
+9. +9's always good. Green arrows. But yeah, so questions around him, and then a couple of guys from Penrith, Jack Cole with a quad, Mitch Kenny with a quad. They were ruled out late last week. And Luke Garner as well with a hamstring injury. But Kai Pearce-Paul, Josh, he's the guy that's on the tip of our tongues, and a few trade little scenarios floating around in the Maxwell. Is it Maxwell Mania?
It is. Despite never owning Maxwell at all. Yeah, it's interesting with KPP because he was managed a couple of weeks ago. Like, he was just rested for a week, and then he had this toe injury. Had injuries all preseason, and it's tough because, like, Dylan Lucas is playing out of his skin. Adam O'Brien's got some weird rotation between him and Frizzell. Like, Frizzell sometimes comes in the middle, sometimes doesn't. And yeah, we'll talk more at length on him in the buy, hold, and sells because he definitely is a tipping point. But I don't hate the idea of selling him. I know he covers 19, but I feel like he's got a bit of the Kale Eros about him. Like, he'll give you 55 to 60 points, and that's it. And maybe next year we look at buying him when he gets that sort of uptick, similar to someone like an Eli Katoa in his first year at Melbourne. Obviously good, just not finding the attack, and that has to come eventually. But yeah, we can talk about him more at length on if he's a buy or if he's a sell or a hold moving forward.
Do you think maybe when KP comes back, there could be a little bit of a try scoring increase? Or, I mean, he hasn't scored a try yet this year on the edge, has he?
Maybe one, but it wouldn't be many. Yeah, we think back to 2019, I want to say, when Lockie Fitzgibbon scored what we thought was every week. And yeah, obviously off the back.
It was every week.
Yeah, it pretty much was. And then we see the likes of like Marzu having a drop off in attack. Bradman Best has had a drop off this season as well. So yeah, obviously no KP is going to hinder them. And no disrespect to Fletcher Sharp or David Armstrong when they filled in, but they're not KP. And we could definitely see that. But in the meantime, like, do we think in KP's current form, he's a guy that we want to have in the run home? I think he could be, but I think he's probably downgraded to a 2RF5 or 6 in his current form. But it's just weird with the rotation because Lucas is playing fantastic, which makes it a little bit difficult.
Tough one, isn't it? And also, we're talking KP, but KP's at least another 4 weeks out So, minimum, I think round 20 for KP, could even be round 22, depending on how he's tracking. So if he's tracking well, as they'd say, then hopefully we'll see him for round 20. And
there's a whole lot of abbreviations: KP, KPP, DL.
Yeah. DL for Dylan. Yeah, Dylan Lucas. Maybe we've nicknamed him DL. Good. And also we missed very well owned Kelma Tuolangi, who's
all 400 people.
So he challenged at the judiciary that awful tackle that basically had him banned for a month. So he challenged that and ended up having 5 weeks instead of 4, and also has a broken finger. So he's going to be out for 5 weeks anyway with a suspension. So would it be interesting though? Like if you're injured, does the suspension for those games count if you're actually injured on the injury report?
But then teams would just announce players injured, like, wouldn't they? Okay. Like they'd be like, you got infected toe or infected finger, like something really like innocuous. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's very similar to like when Taylor May wasn't suspended for the finals because we want to see our best players playing. And I think we need to see Kelma Tuolangi playing. The league is better when he's playing big minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, that's the injuries for the week, guys. Not too many, which is good. Not too many Supercoach relevant ones in Origin week, which is always nice. But let's move on to the preview for the week. And as always, the preview is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead for those of you that are homeowners, or if you need an extra 500K in Supercoach, I'm told that he can look after you as well, which we all do. But on a serious note, if your interest rates are above 6.2%, and maybe you want to buy a home, or maybe you want to refinance, renovate, maybe you even want to save some money like the rest of us, then you can hit up Ryan from Astute Newstead for an obligation and a cost-free inquiry. His link tree is in the description below. Now, lots of buy, hold, sell action this week, guys. When I was looking at this list, I'm like, oh, I can buy him. I feel like a kid at a candy store. I could buy him. I could grab him. Maybe he's a buy this week. So let's talk about the buys for the week.
Target acquired.
I don't like how we've put the first one here because Mattrix and I spent about 20 minutes saying that he's not a buy on Sunday, but situations change. That's Ryan Pappenhausen coming back. I look like an absolute mug because I said with the form of Suafangalongo, I could see a world where he's brought back through the Falcons, and Mattrix agreed. But no, Bellamy just named him first game back. Braino, you've been pretty adamant that he hasn't. Or physio reckons that there's no risk of return, like he's going to return to performance at basically peak, which is fantastic. At 692K this week, taking on someone favourable, the Dolphins, in the 8 o'clock slot on the 21st of June. Break even at 61. What do we reckon about Pappy boys? Because 700K, not a great price to buy him at first game back, and not goal kicking. We compared him to a Aldi version of Reece Walsh if he isn't goal kicking. But as Insight Unlimited members will find out, he may feature in at least two of our trades.
What do you reckon, Mattrix? Because we've floated around with these options with Pappy.
Yeah, we did float, and it's fine to be on the phone to some of you guys and then go, oh yeah, I could get Pappy. And then realistically, when you have a look at 690K, not goal kicking, averaging a 73, does have a low score of 30, high score of 132. I'm just he's had 100 this year, and that's in 9 games. And that's not enough for me to get Pappy, especially when I know he's not goal kicking. I know that the Storm are hot, but that's not necessarily a good thing. The Storm are hot and could still probably find a way to rest him at times, knowing Bellamy. He'll look after his team and his players probably more than anyone else I know.
He does have a very juicy 3 weeks. I've been very vocal about the Tom Trbojevic glazing that I will be attending to later in the season. But the Dolphins this week, Raiders...
What's that? Can you explain what a glazing is?
Urban Dictionary is your friend. Dolphins this week, Raiders next week, and the Tigers in round 18, followed by a bye in 19. So if you do have trades up your sleeve, and when I say trades, I probably mean 17 plus, to be able to go Pappy in and then just punt him for Turbo or punt him for maybe another Origin fullback / center that we are advocating towards selling. KP's back around round 20 as well. So if you got the trades, I don't hate Pappy as a 3-week play.
I'll tell you what, there's been some mixed emotions around the Pappenhausen trade-in, hasn't there, this week? We've been like, oh, maybe I like Pappy. I initially said if Pappy's back this week, I don't mind grabbing him. Then I looked at my team and realised I already have like fucking 700 Storm players. So I'm unsure how I feel about that. But yeah, look, at the price at like, 680K or whatever he is, with a nice matchup this week, I think you'd be silly not to at least look at it.
And I think Adam88 makes a really good point as well. Like the game he did get injured, he scored, 75 points in a half. So because he did get injured, his break even isn't massive. Like he's not coming back to a 150, 160 break even. So it's not like you're going to buy him and cop a massive hit like some spastic sport Reece Walsh with 150 break even and proceeded to lose 150K in 3 weeks. But yeah, he's got a very, very manageable break even. If he does pump out 70s for the next 3 weeks, you can just flip him to turbo. Or even just have 800K sitting there if you want to sell him in 19. Because, yeah, most of us are going to have Katoa, Hughes, Grant, and yeah, now Pappy as well.
Hamish Hunter's asked a relevant question, Pappy or C&K. We'll talk to you about that very soon.
That's a good segue into our... we'll skip number 2, but yeah, it's a good segue into number 3, which is C&K. Braino?
Yeah, we can touch C&K. You seem to be skipping over one particular player, probably because you already own him. So
I just thought it's a good segue if we're talking about Pappy or C&K.
We're all here for a segue. I like it. I'll quickly go back to Pappy. So people worried about the injury and the re-injury risk from physio himself has said that expect Pappy back around 16 or 17 with minimal performance concerns or re-injury risk on return. So he seems pretty confident that due to the fact that it was just a fracture above that plate from last year's surgery that, most people would have fractured their fibula in that instance with the load that went down on it. So people can be kind of confident injury-wise with Pappy coming back and being able to pick him from round 1 or game 1.
I guess it is also a sign of confidence that he hasn't come back through Reggie's. Like if Bellamy's happy to just... Like the Storm are first on the ladder, and I don't think Bellamy gives 2 craps about the minor premiership if I'm just trying to align the stars. It's promising that he has come straight back into first grade, so it's not like this year where he came back through the Falcons for a couple of weeks. So I guess that's also a positive to take away as well.
Yeah, absolutely. C&K was the segue, so we'll move on to C&K. Looking at C&K's numbers this year, like when we look at the season that he has had, you wouldn't pick him as I think he's a 5th or 6th highest average in the whole competition. So if we go back and have a look at his scores, I'm quickly 750K averages. I hate this interface. I'm still not
80.
used to it.
He averages 80.
It's one score below 60 all year, and that's a 40 in round 9. Like it's been 88, 96, 77, 90, 72, 95, 101, 65.
And look, no one expected that. No one thought, he's a must-have. And I still don't think he's a must-have. And the one thing that is playing in his favour at the moment is that obviously he does play the major bye this week, but he plays the Titans who concede the most tries to fullbacks. So if you're looking for a bit of a captaincy pod this week and you want to take a punt on Chance, I think it's a really nice option. He's got the Broncos, but they're backing up from Origin. They've got a few guys out as well. Cobbo playing with injections, all that kind of stuff, into the Bulldogs in round 18. So you're probably getting him for this matchup more than anything for Chance. But the one thing you need to worry about with Warriors players in general is the fact that they don't play around 27. So if you're loading up on your SJs, your C&Ks, all of these, Adam Fanua-Blake, all of these popular Warriors options.
Alan Watini Zalesniak.
Yeah, all-star centering option DWZ.
Yes. You got to worry about round 27. So that's one thing to consider with C&K, but a really nice play if you've got trades up your sleeve, in my opinion. Thoughts, Mattrix?
Yeah, it's not a sexy pick. Like, it's a high score of 101, a low score of 40, and averaging 80. I think it's super safe. It's like captaining David Fafita, getting this guy in your team. It's like a Dylan Edwards light. I'm not sure if I see too many 140s in the foreseeable future between now and the end of the season, but I don't see too many, 50s as well. Like, I think that you can expect 80 from him most weeks, the way that the Warriors have been playing.
Which is serviceable, very serviceable. So you'd be happy this week as well. The matchup is nice. So it's the week to get him. If you don't get him this week, I don't think there's really much point getting him moving forward, especially with your turbos coming back in round 18 and all of that. But here's another segue. Josh, you want to take this one away?
It does. And great point, mate. And says Tedesco is the play. They want to finish top 4 from here. Storm the rest Pappy if they clear a few competition points. And I very much agree. I think James Tedesco is the number 1 buy option this week. it's an eye-watering price. It's not cheap. You're buying him for 873K. We could have got him for like 550 about 6 weeks ago, but he's clearly not favoured in Origin. I mean, we all said he was fine in game one, like not enough to be dropped if he didn't need to be, but they've gone back to Edwards, who was the priority in game one, and Tedesco's, back in rounds, game 2 and game 3. Like, I don't think he'll plays the Bulldogs this week with a 36 break even. It's never fun to pay this much for a player, is it, boys? But I think he is the clear-cut fullback one at the moment. I still think Turbo will be the fullback one for the run home. I'm going to stand by that. But from everyone available right now, it's very hard to pass up the form of Tedesco. He has been in, I don't want to say career best form because he's had a very, very good career, but we can look back basically from round 8 moving forward: 81, 112, 88, 79, 151, 98 for a low score there of 79 in the past 7 weeks. It's not a bad run, is it?
Nah. I mean, you talked about safe picks, Mattrix being C&K is a safe pick. I reckon Teddy's a safer pick. Just knowing that the kind of workload that he's getting through and the draw for the Roosters is probably the best draw or close to it for the run home as well. If we quickly throw it up on the screen, we see I can't actually see it on my screen for some reason.
It's very, very good.
Yeah,
it's the Bulldogs into the Tigers, into the Dragons, into a bye round 19, which isn't ideal. There's one hard matchup against the Storm, which the Roosters have been the 5th best team, so not the biggest issue. But then into the Sea Eagles, Dolphins, another bye, Eels, Titans, Raiders, Rabbitohs, like the list goes on. They've played their hard matchups. It's easy street for the Roosters going forward.
It's Teddy time by the looks of things. The only concern is, do you have Walker? Do you have Terrell May? Do you have Dom Young? Do you have Manu? How many Roosters is too many Roosters, Josh, when you're looking at, loading up on one team?
I think if you have the cover, then it's not too bad. I mean, you just probably won't want to have more than 4 because round 25, round 23 will hurt. Round 19 you can cover because we're playing best 13. But yeah, round 23 is the play. It's an absolute glorious run home. I think Tedesco and Trbojevic are the fullback combination for me for the run home.
I'm looking at trading Teddy in this week, which will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Roosters. But I've just resigned to the fact that, hey, maybe I just trade Terrell May out to get Teddy in. And, obviously not a direct trade, but Terrell May in the next coming weeks. And, yeah, it'll be okay because, Manu will score well, Dom Young will score well, Teddy will score well, Angus Crichton's been a revelation this year. I'm okay with playing all those guys because they're nearly the best at each of their positions, to be honest, for Supercoach. Yep.
I think we can agree with Josh that Teddy by the week, even at his price. So we can move on to one that's a little bit more contentious. I mean, look, let's probably skip past David Fifita is a little bit of a no-brainer, I guess, for this week, considering he covers around 16 and 19. Obviously coming off that, what we call an ankle issue last week, seemed precautionary. Hasn't been picked for Origin, seems to be out of favour with Billy Slater there. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but not playing Origin, great for Supercoach. Titans play 16 and 19. They miss 17s, and for the most part, we probably can cover 17 pretty comfortably. So any kind of things to bring up on David Fifita, Mattrix?
No, not really. I do think now that he hasn't been selected for Origin 2, my wariness has always been I would select him if I was a coach. Trust in Billy and all that stuff. Look, Fifita's playing this week. Looks to be playing round 19 as well. He's the best second row forward option for Supercoach. It makes sense. The only reason I didn't have him earlier on in the season was I didn't want him through this Origin period where we would miss a heap of games. He's playing, so just get him.
Yeah, I think that was the reason why myself and a lot of people held off, was it round 7 or 8, when the Titans looked arse and we were like, well, why would we buy a premium player in an arse team that's going to miss half the season? But Kurt Catewell is a far and away better player than Dad Fifita in the eyes of Billy Slater, and that's
Brennan
great
Piakura
for those players.
well.
And Brennan Piakura, Felice Kafusi. So I mean, it's great for us.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. couple of interesting ones now, maybe not as straightforward. Jaden Campbell. Now, I'll admit I wasn't a huge fan when you brought this one up last week. And I mean, look, you're acting like Jaden Campbell came out and scored fucking Supercoach record. So calm your tits, would you? Fucking 75 points last week is not 170.
It did look like a lot more, didn't it? It was the Gutho effect. It looked like it was 140.
He looked like he was in fucking everything. But is there any caution?
Just as a base power of about 5 across 80 minutes, so it doesn't do any work.
Has to do a lot. But the Titans score points, and he is an attacking player, and he's always going to be in and around the ball. So, I don't hate it. I'm just looking at fullback and looking at 5'8" and going, well, I've got Galvin and Brown. Don't really want to trade him in at 5'8". I held Galvin for this reason. And then also, do I really want him at fullback? Like, the answer is probably no. It's just an awkward duel to have at the moment, I think, when you're looking at really solidifying the run home and getting in these gun fullbacks like your Teddies, your CNKs, your Trells later on. Turbo and Pepe's back this week, Mattrix. So, like, any love for Campbell?
No, I'm just going to be staying away. Like, if it was, it would be at 5'8", and I don't want to be burning trades in that mid position, to be honest. So, yeah, unless you're really just off Galvin or somebody. But if I want a 5'8" that plays for a shit club, I'll just play Galvin or Cody Walker, to be honest. So,
big words coming from a man whose team didn't win last week.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I can't hear you from. I know we're 9th, but
you're an out spot, mate. You're
a lot further.
You're an out spot. No, look, Campbell. I think he works for a very specific team. And I think that team is if you own Chan and Plath. I think that's probably the only way that I'd look at bringing him in. And that's what I was going to do last week, like via Chan out, Plath to 2RF, and then Campbell in. As much as I give you shit about the terrible call, like it is something worth considering. You got Brimson to come back, and Mattrix and I had this conversation on Sunday. Like 3 doesn't go into 1. I mean, I wasn't too great at school, but 3 doesn't go into 1. As much as JC was great for Supercoach, I mean, the Titans scored 10 points with Keeney and JC, in the spine. So it's going to be an interesting time for them moving forward. But yeah, I'm less keen on the idea now. I would have rather buy last week with the Tigers matchup and the better price.
Mate, while you're there, talk to us about this last guy, because he's another guy that's floated around in trade iterations for Maxwell Mania this week.
Yes. Jermaine Asako. He is my Sifa Talakai. As much as I keep telling everyone I don't hate Sifa Talakai because I got on at the right time and got off at the right time, Asako last year, I think I bought him in like round 14. And he proceeded to average probably 60 for the rest of the season. And that sounds great, but he was averaging about 85 when he wasn't in my team. So I'm a little bit scarred on him, but we see Herbie's moved to the left, and Herbie's looked really, really great, which is going to open up space for Asako on the right. Probably the least priority buy for us this week on this podcast when we sort of rank them in order. He does have the Melbourne Storm this week, which isn't the greatest matchup of all time. We saw Supercoach stalwart Dallin Martinez-Lesniak scores 13 last week in that, and they're a really great defensive unit. They haven't lost anyone that would hinder their edge defense too badly. So I don't mind picking him up, but probably don't expect the world from him this week. But obviously a great run home, covers 19 as well.
The one thing to consider this week, Matrix, for Jermaine Asako would be the fact that he Farlogo named on the wing for Xavier Coates. He's running at Farlogo's wing. So maybe a different combination there could muck things up and give Asako a bit of an advantage over that side.
I mean, Asako's a big lad, and Farlongo is, one of those smaller fullbacks. I was actually surprised to kind of see him there. So, yeah, I mean, if I was drawing up the game plan, it would be Asako running at Farlongo, 100%.
Yeah,
justice for Grant Anderson.
yes, absolutely. But I think Will Warbrick's back on the other side, so I think that's why we see Farlongo there. But I assume Farlongo either drops out or goes to 14 next week when we see Xavier Coates come back from Origin. So regardless, we'll talk about the Storm a little bit later. But those are the buys for this week. And what happened to Alex Johnston, Josh? Ian wants to know.
I'm still looking at him, like, as much as he's actually terrible, like, I'm still looking at AJ. 405. Bro, AJ's 405k with a 69 break even. In saying that, they're playing a bunch of, I wouldn't even say New South Wales Cup players this week. I'd say like below New South Wales. They're playing like Div 2 country rugby players this week. So he could score 140 and break Ken O'Vaughn's record in one single game. But if he has another stinker, we were talking about Isaac Tungo as like a buy at like 400k with Cleary back. I mean, AJ at 370 could also be a jump on.
Well, he plays 16 and 19, so it's kind of like, fuck, I really want to take advantage. If I'm going to get AJ, it might be this week because I want to take advantage of the fact he's got the 2 major buys up his sleeve. But they do have the buy in round 17 then, so you'd have to pick him up 18 if you were going to wait this week.
Also, no Trell.
I've already got Sam Hughes. I've already got Sam Hughes if I want a shit score.
No Latrell to swing left, and Cody playing predominantly on the right probably does hinder me a little bit. Just in that sense.
Yep, fair call. All right, let's move on to the holds. 4,020 people don't agree. Sorry,
just
Josh,
quickly on AJ, he could also score 100 and only go up 30k. So it's he could also score 3 tries and still get 50. So it's definitely a roulette.
Maybe if you need the number for this week, it could be an option this week. Otherwise, if you've got 13 or 14, I wouldn't worry. But Ruben Garrick, 4,020 people have traded out Ruben Garrick. He's got 122 break even. But the big kicker, I guess, is that he does miss this first major buy. But I think he's a hold purely because he's going to play round 19. So they've still got another major buy to come. He would have missed round 17 anyway due to the Manly buy. So I think we are missing one game and it is important, but he is still, I think, a top 4 centre wing for the run home and a guy that you're going to want to keep when we look at this Manly draw, Josh. We keep talking about it and probably the reason why you love looking at Turbo.
Exactly. If I'm sitting here going to be Turbo's number 1 stand, you have to give Garrick his flowers. The draw at home is exceptional. He was always missing next week, so that hasn't popped up new for you. And yeah, I mean, it sucks this week, but if I had Garrick, yeah, I'd be frustrated, but I wouldn't be selling. I said to you boys, I'm going out of my way to do what I can to bring him in, whether it be 18 or 19. I'd love to have that Turbo Garrick stack.
Yeah, absolutely. Mattrix, was that you that loaded up our friend here at the top?
Oh, yeah.
It's all yours,
Yeah,
mate. I'm getting rid of it as fast as I can. It's all yours.
Yeah, look, Joey Lussick, at least he's not going to drop any more cash this week because we know that he won't just slide onto the bench and score you sub 10. And your 420k guy 3 weeks ago that's now worth 270 won't completely ruin your score of your team. And I had planned on trading him out at some stage, but now I can't trade him to anyone. So it looks like Joey Lussick is a hold for the rest of the year. So come on, guys. Join me
I don't
here.
know. I see they have the buy, but I still wouldn't be surprised to see Polo bench for Offhand Gowie and Lussick come onto the bench. Even against the buy this week, I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, we've seen the Supercoach app just wig out and give Blaze Talangi 2 points when he wasn't even on the field that week. So, funnier things have happened. So you just don't know with Joey Lussick. He would find a way to sneak onto the field for the fucking Rabbitohs this week or something and score 2. But yeah. No,
in which case he's a trade out if he's scoring 2. But he scored the best 5 you've ever seen in your life. I tell you what, if you're looking to win games, bring Joey Lussick on for the last 10 minutes, I reckon. Thanks, Trent.
I think Ian brings up Jaden Brayley as well. I think he's in a similar boat to Lussick. Brayley has such a weird role. Like he was starting and going well, like he was scoring well for Supercoach, but he made a lot of defensive errors last week when he came off the bench. He doesn't play this week, which is great, so he's not going to lose you any cash. But if you had Brayley, like, what are you doing?
Oh, it sucks because I hate making trades at hooker, and this is probably what I was trying to avoid: is making too many back and forth trades at hooker. It just depends who your hooker 1 is, really. I'm assuming you don't have a Brayley at hooker 1 and a fucking Danny Levi or a Lussick at hooker 2. I'm hoping you don't. If you do, then you probably need to go Brayley and find some cash and get up to someone reliable. But yeah, it's tough. Like, do you nuff? We've talked a lot about nothing in this podcast and how we feel about nothing moving forward. And I think that there are a couple of players at the moment this week we might talk about later that you can probably jump on at a bit of an advantage that might drop out of the team relatively soon. So we'll talk about them. But I'd probably lean to selling Brayley just purely because of the same issue as Joey Lussick personally.
Yeah, so I'm in the same
hooker 1.
Yeah, and I'm in the same position as IJ here. I don't think that I'll be making a trade at hooker till round 26 when I need one, which is the West Tigers' next bye. So Appy's playing every week. If Appy breaks a leg, then, hey, I'm going to have to make a trade. But apart from that, it's round 26. Lussick could be 205k by then or 186. I don't think Brayley's going to have those lows, but yeah, you could be in a similar situation. So just hold, play happy every week. You don't want a second hooker anyway.
Also, Harry Grant also plays out the rest of the season. So if you do have Harry Grant as your hooker one, he plays out the rest of the season. He only misses 19, which he was missing regardless. So he actually has no more buys for the rest of the year as well. So, and 19 is good because you actually need a full team. So probably just hold and assess if you have Brayley, just depending on your hook combination. But yeah, if you have Brayley and Levi or whatever, then probably go find religion and seek God. Apart from that, I would just be holding.
Good shout. Lucky Galvin, boys, still being relatively well sold this week. I'm not quite sure whether this is a delay on last week, or maybe people haven't paid too much attention yet, or maybe these trades are when people see the red and white dot there. That's probably influencing a few of these decisions. But he's definitely a hold this week. Covers 16, covers 19. I know the Tigers haven't been good, Mattrix, but he's been good enough in a bad team to average 57 this year as a guy who's come in and not even played any reserve grade football straight into first grade as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, if we're talking about Jaden Campbell in a bad team as being a buy, definitely we should be talking about Lockie Galvin as a hold. Has he topped out? Yeah, probably, but who else are you going to go to? Like Jaden Campbell? That sounds like the most sideways trade in the world. The draw is okay for the West Tigers. He has shown that he can score points against decent opposition in losses as well. He's a spark. He's young. Look, Lockie Galvin could be a 5'8" that we're talking about for Supercoach for the next 5 years. Just be patient. Hold on.
I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Like, he is currently the 5'8", 11 when you're talking on overall averages, which sounds like it's not great. But the difference between him being 5'8", 11 and him being 5'8", 5 is 4.5 points. So it's very, very condensed. Like Luai is the 5'8", 5 with 62 points a game, and that's boosted by a massive 130 last week. And Galvin's the 5'8", 11 at 57.2. So it's 5 points between him being 11th and 5th. It's very condensed, and there's no one really to buy. I mean, Matt Burton, maybe I'd go up to him, but even then, the Bulldogs have the Roosters this week, and yeah, who knows what's happening with them. So
trades are becoming scarce as well. We're at a point where we're looking at trades every week and going, fuck, I've only got 12 trades. I've only got 15 trades, whatever. And you said 17 maybe would be the threshold where you'd be able to play a little bit more freely, Josh. But for me, I've got 15, and I last week was looking at it going, no, I can't afford to go Galvin out, because then I'm probably going to want the next person that I traded in. It would have to be a Cody Walker and just hold for the season then, really, wouldn't it? It's
a different story if you have like Tomato Martin, because he's like 700k with a ballooned average of 68. And that's coming down now with SJ back. But Galvin's performed week in, week out. He doesn't have huge outlier scores that really boost it up. I mean, I wouldn't be making a trade for marginal. Like, I wouldn't be going sideways to Cody Walker. Whereas like Tomato Martin down to Cody Walker, yeah, it's still a trade, but you're also netting yourself like 40k and probably a better play if they run home. So I just wouldn't be making sideways trades at this point of the season for minimal upside.
Yep, fair call. Blaze Talungi's another one, guys, that is being sold off at the moment. Just top 600k. He's being picked pretty regularly now on the wing for the Eels. I don't know whether that sticks or whether that stays. I think how long's Bailey Simonson out for? Is it a while?
This season.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So he's probably got that spot, doesn't he? That right wing spot for the rest of the year. So, I mean, I think he's a hold for now anyway, but I assume people are probably going up and looking for round 16 coverage Mattrix if they're moving on to Lungy this week.
Yeah, I can probably get around it, but it depends what you're doing with the trade, I suppose. He is a playable option on the wing going forward. But yeah, if you're using him to downgrade to get, a genuine captain option this week, somebody that has excellent buy coverage, I can get around it. But apart from that, like, I'd be fine with playing Blaze every week on the wing. Looks really dangerous on the wing as well.
Yeah. Look, round 19 is going to be tricky, Josh, as well. Like, I feel like maybe round 19 could be the trickiest of the three major buys coming up that we've kind of all just thrown on the back burner to focus on the first two.
Yeah, because 13... it's always in our mind. So we're always sort of mini planning for 13. And then it just comes at you pretty quick. You've got mini buys the week after all the major ones. So you're always trying to work out the direction to go. I'm probably more in the Blaze sell camp. But the only problem is there's no one to sell to. We said on Sunday, Joey Mano at 750k at center feels disgusting. Most people have Dom Young. Lomax is on a bye and at Origin. Val, he's potentially a sell. Like, we're talking about maybe selling Val. Brian To'o's on the bye, and then you've got like Karaz, who's now been named at center. You've got Ruben Garrick that's out. Maybe Asako, but like Blaze to Asako, I don't know. It doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence at the moment, especially not this week with the draw. So it's like, yeah, let's just hold. He has an 80 on break even, which isn't ideal, but if he gets 40, you know, he may lose 35k, and you're still selling him at 570 the week after next. So I'm fine to just hold and reassess.
Yeah, I think if you're set for this week, you definitely hold him because he's a valuable round 19 number, I think. But this last guy, Kai Pearce-Paul, has been on, we talked about him earlier in the show, Josh, as a potential sell and someone that you were looking at selling. And I think, look, if you can use that cash to get up to a genuine keeper and a guy that you can rely on is going to be in your scoring 17 or your best 17 for the run home every single week, then sure, I can get around it. But if you don't need the number this week, he's going to be back next week. Barry Tui said that it was, I think, a toe issue, and he'll be back on deck next week and will cover the round 19 buy. So same kind of situation as Talangi on this one. And it depends on the trade that you're making. But for me, I'm holding Kai Pearce-Paul personally. But Josh, you might be moving him on. So I guess a good little look at both sides.
Yeah, not sold. Probably leaning towards holding than selling, but I can definitely get behind selling. The problem is we look at the top 10 2RFs and there's only two that I'd want. In Dave Fafita and Nelly Katoa. I mean, Crichton's out, Yo's out, Hamole's out, Hudson Young, as much as we love him on this podcast, it's a bit
love him.
Hopgood's out, Carrigan's out, Aiken, his value is probably more at centre wing, Lucas is out, Nanai is out, and then you're moving to Elliot Whitehead, who is somehow the 2RF 12 with an average of 63.2. Like, there's no one in that top 15 that I'd really want. So unless you had the jewels, unless you're trading out like KPP, moving Plath up, or, you know, bringing in a premium front row forward, like, you know, AFB, I'd probably would opt to hold and just reassess what happens next week. If he is benched, then we're probably having a different conversation next week.
And a bit of chat, Mattrix, in the chat at the moment, in the live chat, that KPP to Hamoli Olakawatu very soon in the next couple of weeks could actually be a handy little pickup when he bottoms out.
Fuck, I wish he didn't score so well this week, because I was waiting for him to bottom out. He just sort of won't bottom out where I would like. But yeah, KPP to Hamoli's always going to be lovely for the run home. We talk about the great draw for Manly. Of course, Hamoli plays for Manly. If you're excited about, you know, Turbo Garrick through that period, Hamoli's going to score very well as well.
We talked
I just
about
want to mention the chat quickly. There is a bunch of really good questions. We aren't ignoring them. We do have them starred, so hang around to the end of the episode. Like Agent Cheese has put a really good one in. Grimesy's put another one in. Warren Coates. Like, there's really good questions coming to the chat. We aren't ignoring them, but if we answered every question, we'd be here for 2.5 hours. So we will rattle through those starred ones at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I think we've got 17 at the moment. It'll probably end up with like 20 odd.
17, and we're only 25% of the way through the podcast.
Yes. We'll get to them. We promise. But guys, we should move on. The buys and holds are done. Well, let's talk about the sells this week. Who we should move on. Now, the first one on the list is a guy that we've got an argument in the chat here that we should probably be holding is David Armstrong. Now, there probably is an argument if you've got a tinfoil hat on and you're trying to come up with reasons to hold David Armstrong. He did play on the wing in Reggie's this week as maybe a way for a pathway forward to play NRL on the wing. Mattrix, what are your thoughts on this? Do you buy into this? No?
Great chat, Mattrix.
From Mattrix, yeah. I think he's.
I think
Mattrix and everything. Yeah, he's on mute. He's muted himself somehow. Anyway,
yeah.
No, sorry, my mic muted itself. Yeah.
Good.
Right. What do you think on Armstrong?
The answer's no.
No to what? Are you selling, or are you not a fan of Armstrong?
No, like, there's no reason to hold Armstrong. Like, the wingers have been fine. Like, he's not taking Tuala's spot. Like, you're just trying to find a reason. He's 450k. You can use that money elsewhere. Just nuff and get Teddy, or you probably wouldn't even want to play Armstrong on the wing regardless. Like, what do we like playing Greg Marju on the wing? He's shit as well.
I think he's a fine hold this week, only due to the fact of what we just said about 2RF and center wing. There's no one this week. Like, there's no premiums this week. I have 13 players this week, and I have one of them in center wing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots in my center wing that aren't green, and I have a full squad for this week. So I don't mind holding and then assessing what happens next week, or potentially looking at trading him on next week to a Lomax, to a To'o, to a Koraz if he gets back on the wing. There's just no one this week that I want to pick up. So he's probably fine this week unless you are going up to a Dom Young, or if you're a sicko for Payne and you want to pay 800k for Joey Manu. Apart from that, there's not really many, or a Sarko, I guess. If you had 150k in the bank, jumping onto a Sarko would be fine.
And the logic could be, Ian in the chat mentioning next week, if you hold him, you can just move him to Fletcher Sharp if he isn't named, which you've got to have the duel for that, but I'm assuming we do with Iro and Garrick and everybody else floating around. If you've got the duels, it might be a nice move next week. Yep, cool.
This next one's going to be
Go for it.
spicy.
This one's yours, mate, because you're the only owner.
Trell Mitt, scandalous. I'm going to get slammed. But Latrell Mitchell, boys, it wasn't 5 weeks ago that we said Angus Crichton, the best player in the game, is a sell because he played 1 game out of 4. Obviously, that 1 game, he scored still another 100 points. Well done. But that's still only an average of 25 per week that he wasn't playing. Trell Mitt misses this week, misses next week, which people probably don't realize. Plays 18, misses 19. So he plays 1 game out of the next 3. And I think it's different at fullback because we do have a couple options. We have a discounted Pappenhausen coming back. We have other center wings to purchase if you did want to go there by moving some jewels around. And do we think Trell is one of the top 2 fullbacks that run home? Maybe. But I think you can do more with the cash by selling him and getting that high ceiling player over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'd be a hypocrite if I said that Latrell Mitchell wasn't a sell, but Angus Crichton was. So I think that's just the logic, isn't it? Like, even if Troll comes out and scores 150 in round 18, he's going to score 150 over 4 weeks and he's going to average 45 or whatever that is. So, yeah, that's probably my thought process behind that. And then, you look at trying to get him back for the run home if you really want to, or you look at the plethora of options we're going to have at fullback for the run home in Teddy, Turbo, Pappy. Dylan Edwards is another guy we're going to be talking about for the run home as well, considering how great he's been. So, yeah, we've got so many options there that a guy at that price now, playing 1 in 4, not for me.
I've made my bed, so I'm probably going to lie in it, but I think I would probably hold Latrell, being in the same position as I was with Angus Crichton. I'm holding. I've built depth all year. I haven't really nuffed out or got anybody awful that I wasn't okay with trading. Have I dropped 5,000 spots in the last couple of weeks? Yeah, I probably have, but I think that I'm in good stead for the run home by just holding these guys, not wasting a trade to get them out and getting them back. Because I hear you guys a little bit off channel, like panicking. How are we going to get Angus Crichton back in? And I'm going to bet that maybe one of you don't have the trades to get Angus Crichton back in. Just don't trade out Latrell. If you 100% want him for the run home, I think if you trade Latrell to Teddy or somebody, then you could just run with Teddy on the way home. Whereas with Angus Crichton, anybody I was trading him to, I wasn't going to keep for the run home. But yeah, I could probably get around holding him as long as your second fullback isn't playing Origin.
Yep. Yeah, pretty good summary. Next one, Scotty Drinkwater. It's very rare, isn't it, that we would chuck up a guy with a 80 plus 5-round average up for sell, but he does not play around 16. He does not play around 19, and the Cowboys looking pretty ordinary with all of the options now popping up at fullback. Josh, I think it's time to jump off. Drinky's done his job if you bought him in round 8 or 9 or whatever it was into that nice little run for the Cows, but it's time to jump.
This one's all yours because I posted he was a straight out on Instagram last week. And I got absolutely rinsed. And people were in my DMs after he scored 90 being like, hey, you're a clown. Why would you trade him? Blah, blah, blah. But you're right. Like, he plays minimal games for the next month. And that's the big thing. Like, don't just look at players in a vacuum for 1 week and look at them at scores as to 1 week. Because I could give you plenty of fullbacks that will score more points than Scott Drinkwater between now and round 20. They might not average the same, but they'll score you more points. And that's the main thing. But
also, you've got to look at what you're doing with the cash to get, like last week I traded Scott Drinkwater to get Jerome Hughes and I ended up ahead. So, who's the clown? When you're making moves like this, you also got to look at who's coming in for that player. And I think when we're looking at now Drinky playing 2 in the next 4, and he goes and plays, who have they got in the next 2 games? So he misses this week. Then he comes up against Penrith. They come up against Penrith in round 17, which is going to be a tough one for Drinky. They come up against a Manly team with Turbo back and Garrick back as well. DCE, you'll obviously won't have Origin to back up from, so he'll be good to go for round 18. Like for me, I think it's pretty clear cut, and then he misses now 19 Mattrix. So anything else to add on Drinky?
Yeah, look, he's been Scotty Drink Bolter in some of the games that he plays, but yeah, like availability is the best ability, and I know I'm saying hold Latrell, which I think's a little bit different because I think he's a lot better than Scotty Drinkwater as well. But like, if you've got Latrell and Scott Drinkwater, you've probably got to pull the trigger on one of them, and I'm saying Scott Drinkwater's probably a better trade out than some of these Origin guns. There's a reason all these other guys get picked for Origin because they're the best players in the game. So.
Yeah. And I guess, we're talking about the run home, and we had a couple of, I think Haggy in the chat says that Drinky plays 6 out of 8 at the end of the season games at home. But we also look at their draw, and they play Penrith Bulldogs, who are great defensively. They play the Sharks, they play the Broncos, and they play the Melbourne Storm, and then they play the Bulldogs again in round 27. So it is a very tough run for the Cowboys.
5 of the best 8 defenses in the game. So it's
so regardless of whether they play at home or not, like you got to look at the opposition too. Cool. Liam Henry, pretty obvious one.
No, my boy. No, I can't believe it's finally happened. I agree with this wholeheartedly, but it's sad. It's sad to see him go, isn't it?
Yeah, I punted him last week with a 0 break even. I don't know whether I loved it, but I got Joey Tarpany in, and my front row forward is set for the year now. So, it kind of made sense. I ended up ahead on points, which is great, but he's definitely a move on now. Penrith don't play 16. They don't play 19 Mattrix. It's a bit of a no-brainer from here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, King Henry V did his job, didn't he?
Boys, he's made us 280k. What a champion. And we can never forget those historic run of 74, 76, 82 from him. It was good times.
So good. When we needed him as well, really.
Especially in 13 and 14. We were down on troops in 13. We were down on troops in 14, but he delivered with 150 points across those 2 weeks. What a champion. But yes, looking at moving him on now, you could hold for another week, I guess, a 41 break even. He's never going to go too well above that unless he scores some tries, which is unlikely. But it's a pretty plain Jane trade, this one. He's made us nearly 300k and pretty much topped out in price, which is great. Yep.
And we've got one guy on the sell list that it's an easy let go, but it's a bit of an emotional killer, this one. And I actually got a sound bite specifically for this player. This is it.
Brother, what's that?
And that's been Dallin Watene-Zelezniak's season, unfortunately, in Josh's team.
So, is it? Are you making my trades for me? Because right now he's still smack banging my center wing and probably not.
Gross. Get rid of him. Move him on.
He's a keeper.
Mate, he made money last week. He scored 13 and made cash.
Look,
I think it's situational. If you want that high upside center wing, then sure. I mean, I bought him last week, so I'm probably not going to trade him out after selling him for a 300k loss a couple weeks beforehand. Plays the Broncos in round 17, plays the Bulldogs in round 18, which is not two great defensive matchups. Does open up after that. You got the Raiders, the Tigers, Parramatta, the Dolphins, into Manly. So it's not the end of the world. I would be selling him if he's your center wing 3. If he's your center wing 5 or 6, then probably holding him.
If he's your center wing 3, you've got some bigger issues going on, though.
Attaboy, Mr. Kaleo. He's holding him till the end. I'm with you, my friend. We're going to put the stake in the ground and never admit our losses.
Never. Fair call. That's for sells. Josh, do we want to guess the player now?
We can, but Adam88 wants to know what our trades are this week. Mate, you have as much idea as the three of us, because all three of us have no idea at the moment.
The catch for this episode is that the Q&A segment is actually going to be us asking you questions this week. So stay tuned for that.
Do you have one of those magic 8 balls, and does it say KPP is a trade this week on the inside of it? So
Yep, that's what we need.
All right. Yes, I guess that's how this week. Normally we do it by Supercoach, or you guys ask questions on location or whatever and you narrow it down. This week I'm going to pit you guys head to head against each other. You both get one guess per question. And this week it's a bit different. It's going to be guess the player based on their career path. So I'm going to list where they started their career, where they moved, where they went, where they moved. And you guys get one guess per team. And if you don't get it by the end, then no one wins, but it's against each other. So the first team, I played for the Cronulla Sharks. And I played 19 games.
Oh, fucking hell. So when did they? So sorry, let me get it on these rules again. So we can only guess just a player each time, or do we ask questions?
No. Just a player. They're an active player. I will make it known they're an active player, and they started their career at the Cronulla Sharks, and they played 19 games.
Do they currently play for the Sharks? Is that
No,
what you're
saying? It's their career moves. So, like for example, I don't know, like James Sesko. If I said, "Oh, I started my career at the Tigers," moved to the Roosters.
Oh, it's obviously guess a player.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
You go first, Mattrix.
Ladies,
I've got no idea.
I was going to say ladies first because
lower ranks first.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that. Fucking David Peachy.
It is not David Peachy, and he's not an active player.
19 games for the Sharks.
Played about 190.
Braino?
Oh, fucking hell. This game's terrible. I don't have a clue. I don't know where to start because I can tell you right now they wouldn't play for the Sharks. I know where you're going with it.
The next team I played for is the New Zealand Warriors, where I played 41 games.
Played for the Sharks. Started his career at the Sharks?
Started his career at the Sharks.
Warriors. Fuck me. Yeah, someone in the chat said Val Holmes, but Val played more games for the Sharks, surely.
Yeah.
Also, Warriors.
Yeah. Not Chad Townsend, is it?
Oh, this is why I hate the chat. Yes, it's Chad Townsend. This is why I hate
really? Did he play 19?
Yeah.
No, he played 19 at the Sharks. He went to the Warriors and played 41. He then went back to the Sharks and played 127. Then went back to the Warriors and played 5, and then went to the Cowboys where he played 64. Oh, the chat's just ruined my little new game, so stuff the chat.
Yeah. That's a tough game, man. That is.
Yeah.
You're gonna make it a little bit easier on us.
Okay, so next time I'll give you the years. So I would have said Chad Townsend. I started my career at the Sharks in 2011, where I played 19 games. I then moved to the Warriors in 2014, where I played 41 games. I then moved back to the Sharks in 2016, where I played 127. I then moved to the Warriors in 2021, where I played 5, and then the Cowboys in 2022. So I'll do that next time.
Yeah, fair. Agent Jones is not a fan of Chad Townsend. Fair call. Ian Johnson also not a fan and wants the old Guess Who back, which I'm with Ian.
Sorry, Ian. All right. Trying something new, but stuff is. We'll go back to the old then. That's fine.
But look, let's move on. We'll make it better next week, I'm sure. But maybe we'll be better at knowing the answers or something. But guys, we'll move on.
Zero ball knowledge from you two.
Terrible, wasn't it? We're moving on to the squeeze of the week, guys. The squeeze of the week, of course, is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze every single week. And if you are sick of breaking glass bottles, beer's going warm, coffee's going cold, you can get yourself a 4-in-1 from the Standard Squeeze, or you can get yourself a combo pack to measure the perfect pour every single time, made from food-grade quality plastic. And you can go to their website, thestandardsqueeze.com, get yourself, use the code IFS15 to get yourself 15% off. Get your little 4-in-1 here. Acts as 4 different things in one, I guess you could say, which is why it's called a 4-in-1. How about that? Acts as a little thermos, keeps your coffee warm in the morning, keeps your beer cold as a little stubby holder in the afternoon, as a little drink cup as well, and keeps your drinks nice and cold. And Mattrix has got a swig there ready to go, because I'm pretty sure I missed it. There we go. Adam S has sent us $5. Thanks for that, mate, for a halftime shot from Mattrix. And
he got 2 from me.
There you go. Straight from the Standard Squeeze combo pack. So happy days. Thanks to Mattrix for participating. We never have to ask him twice to have a drink. So we're in a good spot. But yes, the Standard Squeeze of the week, guys, is the top scorer from the Unlimited League in round 15. Top scorer was Barry, coach of White Line Fever, with a 13.55. Huge score. I went and had a look at his team, and he looks like he's in a bit of trouble this week, but he pulled out some good scores last week. So well done to Barry. Go to our web store, mate. It's in the description below, and click on Contact Us and send us a message, mate, and let us know your address and where we're going to send it, and if you want a combo pack or if you want a 4-in-1, mate. So congrats. And we've got a change in leader as well in the Unlimited group with Quentin, coach of the Dead Hand Gang. I think he was floating around 3rd or 5th or something, and he's come up into 1st in the league. But not only that, he's now 1st overall as well. So we'll be riding Quentin home, and good luck for the run home, mate. Fingers crossed we can get you the win. Now we can move into the games. We didn't look at weather this week because it doesn't really look like it's going to impact too much footy, which is great. So We'll move into the games themselves. We've got Newcastle, we've got Broncos, the Cowboys, Penrith, Dragons, Sharks, and Parramatta on the bye this week. Lots of relevant Supercoach players sitting on the pine for Supercoaches this week.
Yeah, Joey Lussick.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tragedy that Joey Lussick, we can't get his 7 points this week. But Friday, 8 p.m, we've got the Dolphins and the Storm. Some big VC options in this one at Suncorp. Trey Fuller comes in for Hammer. Bromwich comes in to replace Kafusi, which is great. But the man that we've seen a lot of questions come through in the chat, Josh, Tavita Pengai Jr., has been named on the bench. And I reckon there's still every chance he could get named to start and do a little swapsy with Kenny Bromwich closer to game time.
It's going to take all the restraint in the world for me not to bring TPJ in if he does start. You hate it. I know you. I think that's the most hated trade that you hate all year out of any of us, bringing in TPJ this week.
Yeah, no, you know what? But I've got a pretty strong opinion on TPJ. I'm not a fan. But I'm not going to backflip on this one for anybody who thinks I'm going to backflip. Definitely not. You won't see TPJ in my team this year. But you'll see,
you'll see him there with the orange, with the blue tag on him.
Hey, I'm only talking about Supercoach, by the way. I might buy him in fantasy, so we'll see.
I actually need a middle in fantasy this week. So if he does get picked, I might just punt DWZ to TPJ.
Oh, Jesus. We have to throw this up for sponsor of the show, Mr. Ryan Hammond. Do Bolter bets get paid out, Mattrix, but only if you're a sponsor?
Yeah, so this is actually for Ryan Hammond because it's his.
What was the bet?
Oh, what was the bet? There you go. And he's Mattrix is now sculling his bolter. We could have a very interesting show in about 30 minutes. What was the bet, Mattrix, that Hamo beat you with?
Oh, I can't remember. It was just like head-to-head, one player against one player.
There is a bolter bet section in the Discord. I'll quickly go and check it to work out what it is, unless Hamo beats us to it. But there you go. C&K to outscore Walsh in round 3, which is a really.
It wasn't round 3.
We're still talking about
round 9.
16 rounds later. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's because Mattrix has taken 4 months to pay out his bolter bet loss.
Of course,
Mattrix. I will buy him. I will buy him for him on the golf course. He just never turns up when I ask him. So he just knows I'll outdrive him.
Also, did you win that? Sorry, we're going off track here. Did you win that bolter bet, Whisperer, between me and Mattrix, and then you had Sam Hughes round 5 and Nico round 6 to 10, and we had SJ round 5 to 10? I assume we lost that.
Yeah, you did lose that. I think I had another one. I think I had another one where I lost to you, so it just evened it out. I can't remember what we bet. We bet something, and it was a net neutral. But let's get back on track. Melbourne Storm, they have Ryan Pappenhausen, probably the biggest inclusion this week. With
apart from TPJ.
Oh, sorry, yes. So yeah, Pappenhausen isn't even the biggest return of the round. He's not even the biggest return of this game. Obviously, yeah, my number one hater, Suafa Alongo, he is moved to the wing with Coates at Origin, Will Warbrick back in, Grant Anderson at centre, and Garlic in for Grant. Massive news there with Bronson Garlic in. I assume it's going to shape the Supercoach landscape massively. But let's talk Pappy because he is the most relevant player in this game. We've mentioned before, 61 break even, sub 700K. He was doing it before the injury. It's always the risk with Pappenhausen and his injuries. He probably will feature in my trades this week after saying he isn't a buy. But talk to me on Pappy whilst I take a quick 45-second break.
I mean, if you miss buy, hold, sell at the start, Pappy as a buy, Mattrix pretty comfortable in saying he's a buy. NRL Physio's come out and said that he's not overly worried about the performance issues upon Pappy's return, or re-injury risk seems to be quite low for that injury as well. So wheels up for Pappy.
I'd be looking at him if I didn't have the money or I couldn't find the money for Teddy. So yeah, I'm staying away from Pappy, but yeah, I can't argue with getting Pappy in on a 60. That is there's so many vibes with that one.
That is a massive vibe pick. We talk about vibes a lot, and this is one of the biggest vibe picks of the year. Imagine owning, we're going off track again. Imagine owning Pappenhausen and Fletcher Sharp in your fullback, two glorious flowing mullets. That'd be nice.
And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
Oh, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck as well. Yeah, that's the ultimate vibe team. Maybe I'll pick a vibe team next year. I was laughing at this as well. Josh's lounge room looks like some kind of scene from a naughty website. It does a little bit. It's
Yeah, so he does his paintings over there on the right-hand side. Spends a lot of time, doing self-portraits and things of the sort. He never turns his TV on. That's actually just a black canvas. And then he listens to all the NRL via the radio. So, yeah, you'll find that.
It's lovely. It's lovely to look at. Nothing really else relevant here. I mean, we talked about Jerome Hughes a little bit, didn't we? As a buy or a potential buy this week, a lot of people are bringing Jerome Hughes in. I'm assuming maybe even via Jules. Thoughts on Jerome Hughes? Because like Munsters, we don't know where he is. Jerome Hughes has the key to the Melbourne Storm attack, really, doesn't he? Like, still a good pick.
Yeah, and like I just worry that if you're getting him as a season-long keeper, that once Cam Munster comes back, you're going to want to trade him out. That's why I'm not going there. Because at the end of the day, when the season started, we all said we're going to finish the year with Nico and Cleary. And if you're going Hughes and Dillbags and some of these iterations, like, do you have the trades to go back to those guys should they hit it on the run home? So,
Yeah, agreed. Let's move on. Obviously, it's a short week. There's only 5 games this weekend, so we're going to have to get our fix from something else. I'm not quite sure. But Saturday, 3 p.m., we've got the Titans and the Warriors at Seabus. David Fafita has been named, which is great. We've got Cleese Haas, who drops out for Fafita, coming back. Palacia comes to prop for Mo Fodawaker. And Joey Stimson, great Joe Stimson, and Isaac Fa'asul-Maliawi on the bench. Titans. We talked about Jaden Campbell as a buy. We talked about Fafita as a buy. But there's really not much going on at the moment. No AJ Brimson back yet. No real kind of sight or return for him. So, I'm sorry, Rowan. I sit here and I like silently laugh at all of the jokes in the chat, but I don't make any noise. So that's just for the quality of the podcast, and I'm sure you'd probably want to keep it that way. What else have we got here? RTS back at centre, boys. So, we were talking about RTS as a sell, or as a potential sell. People were moving off him. Obviously, he was an obvious sell when he was ruled out, but he's back now. Vibe pick. We were talking about vibe teams, Josh. Pappy and Fletcher Sharp at fullback would be ultimate vibe fullback with the mullet.
Just Fletcher. Yeah, Fletcher Sharp's got some aura about him, as is RTS.
Yeah. But RTS, big vibe pick.
Massive vibe. We throw back to February when we were discussing our preseason buys, and we all had RTS purely for the vibe factor. I would have loved to see him on the wing, on the left wing, but the injury to Rocco Berry or the burner, it's interesting to see what side he does line up on. Because if he's on the right, that's kind of hot. But yeah, I would want to just see it before I jump on again. As much as it's much different to start with him than to bring him in, because we started with him and he was averaging like 55, 60. And we're like, that's fine, but it's not a trade out. But 55, 60 is not a in. Shut up, Matthew Sherwood. I'm sick of this.
Also, can I say your lounge room is a vibe with all the
I have my futon down.
Yeah. There's a lot of puff there.
Things going that your lounge room looks like a scene from a naughty website.
Does it? Oh, right. Oh, does it? Okay. Nothing naughty happening there. I tell you that right now. No, it's just my futon that's like down. I have cats, so I don't buy suede lounges because it's just a money pit. So I have a cheap futon, and we're never down here anyway. I'm either at my desk or my partner's upstairs. But yeah, I never have anything on here. It's just a glorified background, basically. So,
but also, I'm going to try and find the chat. Where was it? Because Ian Johnson was asking where the washing basket was. Has been missing in action like DWZ.
Oh no! Okay, hang on.
There it is.
Yes.
I just moved it out of eye shot now because I'm trying to be more. My partner said it doesn't look very professional.
No, that washing basket's actually had like way more airtime than.
It's got good folklore.
Yeah, it does absolutely. RTS back at centre. Ed Cozzy on the wing for Dallin, who misses this week with suspension. We'll move past that. Bit of a sore point. Dylan Walker
also,
on the edge.
Just quickly, I love to make myself the butt of every joke. When I was doing my own podcast on my own, I was doing like a deadline stream live, so there's no editing. We didn't delete our search history one day and went to search something for the chat. I think we were looking at SC stats, but I pressed the wrong button and my search history came up. So that video has been deleted, but people that were watching that stream, you'll remember that time I didn't delete my search history.
Oh, it's fucking awesome. Is there a way to kind of find deleted videos on the internet? Can
I
anyone do that?
surely hope not.
Certain that someone in this chat has tech skills that we can tap into. Dylan Walker on the edge for the Wars, Tohu Harris at lock, and obviously with Capewell and Barnett. They're in Origin camp for Queensland and New South Wales, respectively. So we talked about the Warriors versus the Titans being maybe a target game for a guy like CNK, which I like. But SJ without the goal kicking is more the question for me. Like, are we even considering him as a guy for the run home now, Mattrix? Like, you've been an owner up until now, on and off.
I still own him. I've owned him. It's not been on and off. I've owned him all through this period. I didn't have him for like the 4 weeks that he wasn't playing. I'm in a situation where I'm valuing trades more than, I suppose, points, but I'm worried. He's definitely not a trade in, but I think he's a hold. Like, all these people are saying they're trading SJ out. You just held him for 5 weeks for a 21. Yeah, great. He's playing the Titans this week. If you could throw the armband on him, I would. Like, he could have a big one against the Titans.
Yeah, fair call. I think without the goal kicking, it concerns me a little bit. I'm just not.
Who else are you going? Like, you're not going to captain a. I'm
just going to
like the Storm and Messenger, their Origin stars. It's maybe Fafita. But like from the Dolphins Storm games, what is it, like an Eli Katoa or somebody like that? Like, or there is a world where you chuck the vibe. What's that? Sorry,
I was just saying, are we just captaining a Roosters player against the depleted Bulldogs with no Crichton?
No. Yeah, and you could vice captain in this game. And what does David Fafita have to do for you to loop him? I think that SJ has the highest ceiling.
Yeah, fair call. Not really anything else kind of worth mentioning with the Titans and the Warriors. So we can move on to the Saturday 5:30 game, Roosters Bulldogs at Gosford. This one, we've got Collins, Crichton, Lenu, and Watson out on Origin duty. Dom Young comes back from that hammy that wasn't a strain, apparently just tightness. So they were precautionary, so that's positive. Pauga comes to centre. Cheese is back in the 9, and then the big news: Terrell May starts again, which was expected based on what we saw in round 13, Josh, but positive signs that we can hold on to Terrell May and reliably kind of bank in probably, 50 or 60 as a bare minimum for him this week.
Yeah, the greatest Supercoach player of all time when he starts, one of the worst when he doesn't. It's so awkward because, I mean, how long can we hold for? Because I'm not holding him for the season. Mattrix seems to think he is, but I'm not holding for the season. Should get a big tick in minutes. Very similar bench to what it was back in round 13 with Tatili and, a couple of other sort of more edge prominent players. Yeah, the question becomes like, is he a sell after this week? And is he a sell to who? I'd like to probably hold and maybe sell to Eli Katoa in round 20, but that feels like a long time to hold to Terrell May. But yeah, fantastic that he does start because he is bona fide. Probably the front row forward 1 when he starts and the front row forward 63 when he doesn't. So it shows you the discrepancies in his score. And I was saying that to Mattrix the other day, like we were reading his scores. His scores are electric and then terrible. So, and I posted on Twitter as well. I said he had the most fraudulent 60 average in all the game because he had, I think, 3 scores above 60 all season and 7 scores below 50.
I rated that. I rated that post actually.
I'll have to find it. One of my few many okay tweets.
I feel like Terrell May is a trade next week for me. I might look at just moving him on next week because I've got the jewels. I've still got Curran in my 2RF. So I'm going to probably move Curran up to front row forward and then get out Terrell May to a 2RF. I've just got to time it right. So I'll reassess that next week. But yeah, this week I've even seen some people put the captaincy on him this week. Just very interesting play, but I don't hate it at all. Pretty reliable. You know what you're going to get starting Terrell May. So
I have to trade him out now, getting Teddy in this week, owning all these Roosters assets and them still having 2 buys. Like, something's got to give, and I think it's Terrell May, even though I think that he's a serviceable hold for the rest of the year.
Yeah. 48 break even this week. We're expecting to go over that. Probably will touch back around 600, 610. Could be a serviceable jump off there if you've got some cash in the bank. We were talking about Payne Haas. I mean, hell, we were talking about Helam Lukey the other day on the podcast. Matrix. He's like 430k. You could trade Turame to Helam Lukey and bank yourself, 170, which seems really, really horny.
How fucking high were we on Helen Lukey at the start of the year?
I'm still high on him.
Still
Yeah.
higher,
Even after he got injured, we all had to jump off, but it was a forced trade out. So, big Hylam Lukey fans here on the pod. So, Bulldogs, Carraz goes to centre, which fucking sucks for Supercoach. But, he's not a trade out or anything. He'll go back to the wing, I assume, when we see guys like Josh Adokar come back and things like that. Crichton obviously coming back into the team at centre will push Carraz to the wing. But Skelton, a very interesting kind of nuff option this week, boys. Plays 16 and probably disappears. Any love for Skelton?
We didn't talk about probably the most obvious nuff option in the buys, but we will. The only problem is he's 331k. It's not like we're buying a bottom dollar cheapie. This is the same price that people started Bronson Jerry with no certainty that he was going to come into the side. I just think it's too much to have for a 1 week play. It's not like he's bottom dollar that you're going to eventually trade. You're going to hold on to. It's an extra 130k that could do a lot in your team. So, as much as I love Skelton, he is a base stat machine, and I think someone actually posted. I would have to go back and find the star comment, but someone posted this game is the base power cup. It was right here. Jason Murphy. Roosters versus Bulldogs this week looking like the centre wing BP Cup, which it absolutely is. Skelton, Carraz, Manu, Daniel Tupu. Like, there's a lot of really good BP centre wings in this game, and Skelton's one of them.
Yeah. No, I'm a big Skelton fan. It's just not.
Yeah.
Not the right
For anyone that hasn't watched him, like, he has all the prowess in attack. Like, he's going to get you a million tackle busts. He's like a little Brian Toto, but has the defensive ability of Micah Sivo, unfortunately, which is why he hasn't gotten his shot in first grade. But live wire to watch out for.
If he was a chance of 19, I would have him.
Yeah. If Adokar was playing Origin and the Bulldogs played 19, different story because you can get 2 games out of him. Then I could probably justify the 2 trades. But just for the one at 331k, I'm going to let this one go through to the keeper.
Yeah, fair. We've got Curran and Salmon on the edges for the Bulldogs as well, which is great. Sam Hughes, he starts again. Not quite sure if it stays that way, but we see Farmer Silly for anybody who held on to him for however long. He's back on the bench for the Bulldogs. Give you an extra number in round 16, so congratulations to you that held. Kurt Mann being out, I think, is more influential for guys like Salmon, Curran, the middles. Even Hughes is probably going to see some more minutes there. So I feel good about Kurt Mann being out for the Bulldogs. It gives our Bulldogs assets a little bit more minutes there, I think, in the middle of the park. But otherwise, probably not touching any of the Bulldogs as a buy this week. I wouldn't have thought. What about Matty Burton? Because I think there was a question in the chat here. We might have started. I'm not quite sure, but it was pretty early on in the show. Is Matt Burton a buy now? Considering he's obviously not been selected for New South Wales Mattrix.
Isn't he 18th man?
No, there was a leak that he was, and then he wasn't. James Hooper looking like a mug, as always.
Yeah, sorry. I thought he was 18th man. So, I mean, I suppose he's a possible trade-in if you can get him. The thing is, he doesn't play round 19 at this stage, which I am looking to attack guys that are playing round 16 and playing round 19 as well. But, yeah, Burton looks like a hold at 5/8 through to the run home. So is it worth a trade? Like, I'm presuming you've already got Dylan Brown and Galvin or Cody Walker and all the Sam Walker and all these other blokes. Like, yeah, is it worth it? I don't think he's going to score that much more than all those other guys.
We're talking Matt Burton as maybe 18th and not, but Rowan has used the best abbreviation ever possible for Mitch Barnett and put MB, which also is Matt Burton. So, well, congratulations to Rowan for the worst abbreviation I've ever seen.
I thought that was Matt Ballin.
Matt Ballin, West Tigers hooker, great.
West Tigers icon. The thing with halfback is, like, as much as Mattrix and I on Sunday said Cleary probably isn't a guy you want for the run home for the money he's costing, all it takes is 100-point game for him when he comes back to you to shit the bed and be like, shit, we need Cleary back in our sides. So I'm not sure if I want to be wasting a million trades at halfback, and that's very hypocritical of me considering I'm not obviously, but I'm looking at doing something similar this week. But yeah, all it takes is one good score from Cleary and we all sort of shit our pants and say, shit, we need him back in our side. So just keep that in mind as well. You're going to have a route back to Cleary if you were looking at panicking and bringing him in.
Yeah,
a route.
Saturday 7:30, Rabbitohs and the Sea. We're at that part of the podcast. Rabbitohs Sea Eagles at Accor Stadium Saturday night. We've got Jai Gray comes in for Latrell, Keon at lock for Murray, who started on the bench last week, but Arrow's also been named for the Rabbitohs, and for the Manly Sea Eagles, we've got Aaron Schopp, Gold Coast Titans great Aaron Schopp, in for Ruben Garrick, who misses this week. And we've got one of the more interesting picks that I've seen at team lists recently, and Carl Lawton playing halfback for Manly. What are your thoughts on this?
I've chucked my boot in. I'm a chance.
Obviously, DCE's out. Jake Arthur's out as well. I thought Jamie Humphries may have been a chance to play, but no, they've got Carl Lawton there. And then a bunch of nobody. I was expecting to see Corey Allen sign on a train trial deal, and he maybe get a run as well. Like Manly are cooked this week. They just got no one.
Yeah, it's deep, isn't it? What else have we got? We've got Waddell on the edge for Ola Kawatu, who's in Origin camp, obviously. We've got Bullymore starting for Paseka, and we've got Nathan Brown at lock for Gerbo. So there's a bit going on there, and, I'd probably look at maybe one of these guys as a potential decent option for an Origin replacement, considering they'll play 16 and 19, and obviously if we've got Nathan Brown replacing lock, Gerbo at lock, he could play 16 and 19 at starting lock, but then he'll drop to the bench and just become an AE issue. So, yeah, I don't really love any of these options personally, except potentially, Shop is only going to play 16, so
what about West Tigers icon Jake Simpkin? If he, someone in the chat, Haggy says, does Jake Simpkin play hooker for the rest of the year? 217K, if you're sitting there with a Lussick or Brayley, there's worse options to pick.
Yeah, maybe I do.
What's going on with Lachlan Croker at the moment?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was that head knock issue, wasn't it? Where he's having dizziness and delayed symptoms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
Simpkin played 80 last week. I will take Manly's minutes with a pinch of salt because they were down to 13 players for the entire second half, so they had no reserves. And he scored 45 80 minutes. Like Simpkin, we were all pumping his tires up, what was it, 2 years ago when he was a bottom dollar cheapie at the Tigers, and he's now 217. I don't hate it. Like, it's not great, but if you had to find money and you needed to jump off generic shit hooker number 2, I don't hate it.
You could insert about 7 blokes into that generic shit hooker number 2 role as well.
I just traded out Lussick for Simpkin as you were talking.
Yeah, vibes. If you have Lussick, Brayley, Levi, I'm trying to think who else sucks. Just anyone.
I wish you'd told me that 10 weeks ago.
Anyone that's not Harry Grant, Reid Marnie, or Jeremy Marshall, King Rappy Coruscant, basically.
Pretty much. Hooker sucks. But that's the Rabbitohs and the Sea Eagles in the last game of the round, and everyone's talking about this guy in the chat. We haven't brought him up once yet, but
we're getting there.
We're getting there. We're nearly there. Tigers Raiders at Campbelltown. I might go to this one myself if anyone's around. Galvin, he is back from his 1 week layoff for that hand injury. Appy back to 9. I liked him at 7. I actually didn't mind him there, but obviously back to 9. Talon De Silva back to the bench, unfortunately. Now 2 big ones. Adam Dewey in the reserves. So God knows what is going to happen here. We could see the biggest centre combo ever.
Dewey?
Dewey or don't we?
Dewey, don't we?
Yeah. Probably the most used Supercoach name.
Kevin Porter Jr. is back this week.
I was going to say the most important news.
Otto Porter.
No NBA players here. We've got Ruben Porter. He has been named to start on the edge for the Tigers. And at basement price, 204K, he's on the bubble this week with a 5 break even. So he's going to make some money this week, Josh. And, ideally we have him for 16 through to 19. Tigers don't miss any of those games. They'll be available all 4. He played 70 minutes on the edge and in the middle last week. He looked fucking awesome eye test wise. Could be the ultimate pick and stick 16 through to 19 and then disappears when Isaiah Papali'i and John Bateman come back.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we're looking at the NRL injury ward, which is never the most complete for injury analysis, but they've got IPAT returning in round 22 and Bateman still to be or TBC. So Porter looks really good. I don't really see anyone coming up. Maybe Alex Seyfarth, but like he can play through the middle, which is handy to have off the bench. No Twal this week. Twal, I think physio was reporting maybe some kind of fracture with the head knock as well, so I'm not too sure. But at bottom dollar price, playing okay minutes, don't expect the world, but if we can get 50 points out of him and then become enough, like if we can get 50 and then, does fuck all for the next 2 weeks and then scores another 50 in round 19, then and he drops out completely, like he'll go down in folklore similar to Corey Anderson from the Bulldogs all those years ago.
What a joke.
I think I'm going to pull the trigger on Ruben Porter this week. I think it's just the one that makes the most sense. It gives you a number this week if you need that, which is great. I don't even need it. But for me, if he suits up in round 19 and then disappears, that is the ultimate enough. There won't be anybody that tops that this year, I don't think.
What if he pulls a Liam Henry and does nothing when we don't need him, and then when we need him the most, he scores a 75 and an 80?
The only issue is that Tigers players aren't good enough to play Origin. So, like, he's not going to come in and replace anybody that's out for Origin in the major buys. But, it'd be nice if he pulled out a score for us this week.
I think Liam Henry to Ruben Porter is probably the most obvious trade of the week.
I think so.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be trading to Ruben Porter, but I think it's more what you do with the cash. Like, going a Salmon, and I know he's playing this week and he's been serviceable, but a Salmon to a Ruben Porter can get me like an Iro to a Tedesco, and it's what you do with that second trade for me.
Yeah, and I'm the same. So Liam Henry to Ruben Porter gets me Joe Chan to either Eli Katoa or Jerome Hughes, which is very hot. I haven't worked out which one. So chat, please let me know, should I get Katoa or Jerome Hughes, because Braino had no help for me in either did Mattrix, and I generally don't know either.
I say Hughes.
So
that's my
curious,
vote now.
Curious on your guys' thoughts. But yeah, Ruben Porter, 204K, 45 last week. Not expecting the world, but if we can get a number and enough, that's perfect. And for anyone that's, I guess, new to Supercoach this year, enough is a player that we are picking that is deliberately not going to play. And mostly these guys are bottom dollar players. Ideally, they have dual. Ruben Porter doesn't have dual. But we're picking players ideally to deliberately not play, and it's a strategy used by very high-end players like myself, ranked 22K, towards the back end of the season to try and cull a lot of the dead weight in our team. So you might see people do David Armstrong down to a dual nuff, and the dual will either be centre wing half, centre wing fullback, centre wing 2RF, and then just gives you flexibility with money in the hand, because we should start to finalise our teams to looking more primo heavy at this point in the season.
Yep. Good explanation. Raiders, no, I don't really. There's nothing really relevant here. 1-17, aside from Wolford coming in on the bench for Tom Starling, who's out with a head knock. No Corey Horsburgh. Played Cup last week, but still nothing from him.
What a fall off!
I know. Where did he gone? Maybe he's done something to Sticky and Sticky's off him or something. Because that'd be a Corey Horsburgh thing to do.
Oh, 100%. Play career footy last year and then get replaced by meat and potatoes middle forward from England.
Yes.
I'm just Googling Ricky Stewart's wife just to see what the photos look like on his phone.
Just going through and seeing if Corey Horsburgh follows any of the Stewarts and has been liking some of their posts.
Yes. Yeah. We probably won't comment too much on Ricky Stewart's wife and what she looks like, but what we will do is we'll go into
Kaylee's right
for this week.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
For me, I kind of feel like maybe VC and C options are kind of relatively obvious based on the team that we're targeting. I guess Pappenhausen, Hughes are the two options for me for the Storm in game 1 against the Dolphins. Then David Fafita as a VC in game 2, along with maybe a guy like Chance Nickel-Clockstad, or you mentioned SJ Mattrix. Who am I missing? Any other VC loop options to start the week off? Considering for the most part, we might have a free loop this week.
Yeah, that's probably it. I think all roads point towards Tedesco. I mean, for my team in particular, there's probably two combos I'm looking at. It's VC Pap into C Fafita, or VC Fafita into C Tedesco. I'm not really touching anyone from Souths, not touching anyone from Manly, and not touching anyone from the Tigers or the Raiders.
What does just to be, I suppose, transparent, what does Fafita have to score for you to loop him if you've got Tedesco as captain? Because that's my thing with Fafita. Like, he could score 100 or 110, and then I'd be like, fuck, I'm just expecting huge things from Tedesco.
I know that we didn't touch on the weather this week, but we got to think back to the Roosters versus the Bulldogs earlier this year. Infamous game. Tedesco HIA, Tom Young -15. And that was probably the game of the year. There was like 45 HIAs and about 3 send-offs in the pissing down rain. The Roosters were down 1,000,000-0, came back to make it a game, but then eventually lost. Played the Bulldogs back in round 5 at a core, scored a 4-pointer against them, obviously affected with a HIA and pissing down rain after 23 minutes. But I would always take points. If Fafita got me 85, I'm running to the hills with that. If he got me 75, I'm also probably considering it. Back in round 13, I looped Mulatalo 77, and it turned out to be the correct play. So your threshold is much lower, and I'd always just take guaranteed points in a bye week.
I'm the same in a bye week for sure. Anything over 75, maybe 80 is my threshold. I'd have to think twice if I was on 75, and I'm going, oh, can Teddy get 80? I
can't wait for a Fafita 77, and you're like,
it's going to happen, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to happen. But I'm similar to you.
Corey? Who's he run at Murata this week?
It'll be whoever the Warriors whoever the Warriors right edge is. So near Corey.
Near Corey. Yep. And who's replaced Dallin this way? Ed Cossey on the right wing could be jamming in, trying to get on for. Who knows? Anything could happen there, but obviously they haven't got their regular right edge with a couple of names missing. So definitely a look. But I think I'm Hughes into Fafita or Fafita into Teddy if I buy Teddy, which I'm leaning towards doing. So I'd probably
just on that loop thing, it doesn't help, but I wouldn't take 70. I would take 80 if you had it on Fafita with Tedesco to come. So it's just like, I don't know. I mean, the Bulldogs have been fantastic defensively in that. I haven't actually lost anyone through Origin that I can think of.
Here's the best way to explain it. The answer on whether you take the loop or not depends on whether the mate that you want to beat this week is in front of you or behind of you. So, you know what? Fair call. Don't mind it. Depends if you're a head-to-head player, but fair call. You know what? Captains are boring. Teddy, Walker, Manu. I'm probably just if you've got Teddy, you got to go Teddy. Are we doing Manu? Are we looking at Manu captain this week?
No.
I'm so scarred from last week now. I'm never fucking touching
Not after
him
a 40,
In saying that, though, what side has Crichton been playing on? Has he been playing on the left?
Left. Oh, so Stephen Crichton? No, right.
Yeah. No, so Crichton's been playing on the right, so it doesn't affect Manu's matchup. So I'm not really too sure who he's running at. He's running at whoever Carraz isn't.
Carraz will be on the right, replacing Crichton. So
you're running
Sherry. Yeah.
And is that Skelton? Is that Skelton's side?
Yeah.
It would be, yeah. Okay, money against Skelton could be kind of hot. Dom Young as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. It's Teddy. But anyway, if you don't have Teddy, then
you've got to double down because you own Dom Young for the -15. You've got to double down and captain him this week for revenge.
I'm scarred from that for life. You know the one enjoyable part about that, and what is known for the most is the Dom Young shirtless ripped shirt game. Not the Dom Young -15 game. It's the ripped shirt game. So let's be positive here, would we? All right, let's.
I'm sure Melissa and Ange in the chat can atone to that.
Yeah, they'd enjoy that, 100%. Let's move on to the Punters Club. We haven't even talked about bets yet, but let's give ourselves 5 seconds to try and find it.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
You want to spice things up a little bit? We got voided last week because David Fafita was a laid out and he was an anytime try scorer. So our bet was voided. You reckon we could pick all 5 winners head to head?
Mate, we can't even get 3, but sure, let's try it.
I reckon we could this week. We've got to back the Storm into the Dolphins, don't we? It's at Suncorp, but Storm, Pappy back. It's got to be Melbourne, doesn't it? So them into who are we backing between the Titans and the Warriors?
It's the Warriors for me.
Warriors, yeah.
$1.52. Roosters have to beat the Bulldogs, don't they, without Crichton?
Yep.
Souths or Manly?
No, this is a
That's
contest.
the problem.
This is the lock of the week. This is not a problem.
Manly.
This is the lock of the week.
Go on.
It's got to be Souths at $1.47.
I'd take Souths at $1.10 this week.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Knock yourself out.
And Tigers Raiders. So can the Tigers win at Campbelltown and go back to back?
You need some value, boys. We can't keep taking $1.50.
No.
We're just taking the 5 favourites then. We've got to pick a roughie.
Boring. That's boring. I mean, the Tigers will give us $11. If you boost it, it's going to give us $11.80, which is enough to get us back even for the year.
Yeah, but can you imagine the fucking narrative that Mattrix is going to come up with if that's the only leg that doesn't get up?
Do that.
Okay,
no.
Mattrix. If we take the Raiders, we get $4.50. Fuck that.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we
If we
get
take all the
735.
Oh,
do we? Am I high?
Yeah, 735 if we take all the five.
Dewey,
Dewey.
Adam Dewey's
Oh, no,
going to
hang
get named. Let's take the Tigers.
Yeah, it's a moral. I'm overriding. I'm pulling rank and taking Tigers.
All right.
It's at
That's
home. It's
$1
at one of
$1.50.
the West Tigers stadiums.
The one that we never win at. We've lost our last 10 at Campbelltown.
Oh yeah, Mattrix.
Yeah, but
Please show it. The
it's gonna
Tigers
be
haven't won
more.
Campbelltown since 1998. Until this week.
Let's do
I
it.
don't know whether it's 1998. I think that's wrong. But it's
No,
been a while.
Yeah. Wait, hang on.
We've lost
We
our
weren't
last
even a team in 1998. We weren't even a thing.
No, we were 2000. We were a team.
Um,
It's, we've lost
So
our last
I was
10.
willing to take New Zealand into the Storm as my bet anyway. So
Cool.
yeah, like Roosters, Rabbitohs sound great. Yeah, it's the last one.
I think we need to. It's smart money's on the Raiders. We don't win at Campbelltown, but we're off a win at Leichhardt. Spirits are up. Appy's
What
back
if you
at-
take the Tigers plus 4.5?
No, because that's just boring.
Yeah, we don't take
I'd rather,
handicaps here, mate.
I'd rather ride the 2.31. Also, just
You know what?
Ruben Porter, $5.20 for anytime try scorer.
Oh, stop it. Okay, you know what? Why don't we do those 4 winners into either team 1 to 12? Raiders, Tigers.
Sure. All right, that makes
doable?
sense.
We live with that?
Better. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that.
We're going to work out what that's going to be paying, though. Josh can work it out. He's the punter.
Am I? Okay.
It's a
But anyway, that's the bet.
bet
Let's
365.
Yeah, I'm not even sponsored by a betting company. Rough. Let's move into questions, and Josh can work out that bet in the background.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
Well, this is going to be a 2-hour podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So strap in. We've got the first one.
25.
Yeah, we've got 25 starred questions here. We'll do our best to get through them. Ian Johnson. Hey, Braino, are you able to read out my trade thoughts I sent you via Twitter? I can do this for you. Let me just open my Twitter. Where is it? Ian Johnson. All right.
Either team 1 to 12 is terrible odds. It gets us $1.69. So
Oh.
multi would be $7.71, which I'd still take. I'll still take $7.71.
Yeah, let's take that. Let's just take that.
Let's just hope the Tigers can hold on.
Boosted to $8.50. So we're getting 10 for $85 back. All right, let's do that.
That'll do. Let's do it. Yeah, happy with double figures. Ian Johnson's question is in a bit of a pickle. One trade is locked in at the moment with Latrell to Teddy. Should I nuff Chan so that he isn't an AE nightmare, or keep and hope that he drops out of the squad completely? So that's the first part of the question, boys. Would you nuff Chan, I guess is the question, or keep him and hope he drops out?
Are we true nuffing him or are we going to Porter? Because that's the difference. I'll be fully transparent. I wasn't listening to the first part of the question.
The first part's irrelevant. He's doing Troll to Teddy, and that's locked in. But this is the next part of the question.
Chan to Porter then.
Yeah, so if we do Chan to Porter, also thinking of either going DWZ or Armstrong to Fletcher Sharp next week, knowing I will trade Sharp back out to Latrell in 20 or round 21. So the question is DWZ a hold for the season or a sell? Kind of answered it, didn't we? Like you guys probably think that DWZ's a hold for the season now, regardless.
Yeah, you can just play him on matchup. He's like the New Zealand Ronnie Mulatalo.
Yep, I think that's a fair call. Adam, 88. Thoughts on Val to Pappenhausen? We didn't say Val was a sell, but we were toying with it, weren't we? Because just looking at the Sharks' draw for the run home, it looks pretty ordinary. They've got 4 real tough matches, and he does miss 16 and 19 as well. So I can get around trading Val. Thoughts on him to Pappy?
No.
Mattrix?
Nah, I can't. I'm so scarred from trading Val out through the Origin period last year that I'm just going to hold him for the rest of his career. Remember, he was a New York Jets.
So he's going to be in your team for the rest of his career, is he?
100%. Yeah,
good.
he's also the guy that I nuff out on the sleeper app for NFL fantasy. So I just can't trade Val out, to be honest.
Yeah, New York Jets running back Val Holmes. He's coming in clutch. Very good. All right, Reese, is Burbo a sell next week? I have him in center wing. Josh, what are your thoughts on? I mean, we sold Burbo a long time ago, but
I haven't even looked at how he's been going. I saw he scored last week, and that's about it. I think so. I think now's the time to be moving on. Like center wing's fine this week.
500K.
Yeah, no, we sold away too early. You know what? I went to look at him up on Supercoach, the website, and I searched Burbo. That just shows you how out of touch with people's names I actually am. OB.
79 and 44 in his last 2 games. So he scored 44 with a try last week.
Oh, that's terrible.
in
He was
80
also
minutes.
stuck at center. He was also stuck at center.
Yeah.
I
So
think
79.
fine hold. 44 break even's fine, and then probably look at moving him on. I wouldn't see him as a keeper, and then you send him
He's the next 2 major buys as the big pit for me. He's just a number. So I don't mind holding.
I guess, and this the 70 will drop out not next week, the week after. His rolling average is bumped up by a 76 and a 79. So when those drop out, then round 19 will roll around. Then you can probably move him on in 20. So I don't hate that. Probably hold until 20 is a number.
Yep, fair call. Ange, is it too early for Payne Haas?
This week, yes.
Yeah, I mean, what
Just
about next
this
week? Would you grab him round 17?
I had you back up in 14. I didn't actually know. I think he just powered through because that's what he does. We were talking about him on Sunday as a buy. 77 break even, which is probably the top end of what he'll get, but he won't get you anything majorly below. He's a guy that I would be looking at bringing in. Like if you were trading at a KPP next week, if he was benched, then Payne Haas is probably the most obvious to trade in. In round 14, backed up with a 55. So it wasn't great, and does have a 99 in his rolling average as well. So,
but that's a 55 for a guy that's 700k, and like I consider him a guy that's worth 800k. He always floats around this price. If you're going May out, KPP down next week, I rate it.
yeah, I don't mind like May, KPP to Payne Haas and Lukey. I don't know if that works. I think it'd be very close. And that's kind of hot.
Yeah, it's nice. Next one, Jamie Camilleri, Alex Johnston, Jojo Fafita, and what other centre wing downgrade for Blaze Talungi? So we're looking for, I'm assuming, a guy around that kind of AJ Fafita price. What is it, like 420, 430?
I'd rather just wait and get Tungo. I know it's gross.
No, I like it. No, I kind of like that.
The Mattrix hates it.
I didn't watch any footy last week. Dallin's playing this week, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He's
Wonder
playing.
why he only got 13. No, look, I would wait unless you need the number this week. Then I'd probably go. I don't know. This is the problem with centre wing. There's
get
like
AJ.
One. Yeah, I mean AJ for vibes, I guess, but I'd rather wait and just get Tungo next week.
Yeah,
At least if you only play AJ these 2 weeks, like surely he does hit every now and then. Like surely you get one good score out of him, 16-19.
Probably. Very quickly, I'm not trading Val for the record, and I told Hamo that I'm not trading Val, but maybe he talked me into it. You never know. I might get Hamo on the pod when you guys are out of action one week. So that he can tell us all of his amazing plans, because he talks so much shit in the chat and never gets anything wrong. So I'd love to see some opinions of Hamo on the podcast one week. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
and thanks for the $2.
Congratulations. I've heard Whisperer's got a kid coming, so congratulations, man. So
I have a kid. Jesus Christ, I feel fucking so bad for that kid if that's true.
Next one from Jay. What do we do with Jack DeBellin? This is maybe a question for you, Josh, because you've got Jack DeBellin, don't you? What are we doing with him?
Mad break even of 118. I don't reckon Jack DeBellin could score 118 in 2 weeks. He's 550, 583. I think he plays 19. I fucking hope he does if he's not playing this week. Otherwise, I was going to say surely he does. And misses 20. So he plays the Dolphins next week, Roosters the week after, Broncos the week after that. I brought him a couple of weeks ago for a disastrous 46 and a 27. So not being the greatest trade in. If I can find a better option. I haven't even looked at 19, if I'm going to be honest, Jay. So if I can find a better option that plays, then sure. But at this point, I've got 14 trades after I've made my 3 this week. I think I just run with him being a plotter moving forward. It wasn't a great week from him last week, but he only played 43 minutes and 42 minutes the week before. It seemed like his minutes just right up when I bought him. Like his minutes have been 57, 59, 58, 40, 61, 69, 57. And then I buy him, he goes 42, 43. So, yeah, it's tough. I think I'm just going to hold it out, and he'll be like my front row forward 3 behind Fainu and Curran, and I will eventually trade May out to someone. But yeah, probably just write him out.
Fair.
No, Bellin's better than those guys. He's a hole.
He has been until
Bellin's better than Fainu.
He's had 2 down weeks. 2 down weeks, and we were talking about a month ago about him being just fucking meat and potatoes 55 plus. So I'd probably hold till 19. As a number. Personally, that's my opinion. But I'm not an owner, so I'm not emotionally attached. Probably take Josh's advice more than anything. Next one from Mark. Have you got enough numbers for the remaining buyers? Thoughts on Fuller and Manu? So still an owner of Fuller and Manu.
I want your level of commitment. You know, in my life, whenever I'm looking at settling down with a nice person, I want them to look back and go, you know what? I want a person that's going to love me as much as Mark loves Trey Fuller, because it's round 16 and you still have him. So shout out to you.
Mark has been with his wife. Mark's been with his wife now that he met in 16 at high school. For the record, I'm sure. So thoughts on Fuller
having a kid on the way, Josh. I'm sure you'll feel that soon.
Yeah, you'd know that. What are our thoughts on Fuller and Manu to Teddy and AJ this week? I don't love trading Manu out if you've got him already.
I also don't love trading Fuller out because he's a number.
Yeah.
Like, if you held him until fucking round 16, like, surely you just stick it out.
I don't mind. Yeah, I think Fuller's a playable option too. He should score okay. Like, I don't see him scoring poorly.
We're trading out two players that play to two players that play.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're looking at Fuller will play 19 as well. That's probably one thing to keep in mind. I mean,
both of them will. Like, Manu will play 19 as well.
No,
sorry. You're not getting an extra number. Sorry, from going Manu to Teddy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Manu
to Teddy seems sideways.
What do they play? Rabbitohs play 19. So you're trading out 2 this week for 2 this week, which is fine. I don't even know if Manu and Fuller.
But you're also trading out 2. Like, you're trading out the same amount for 19 too.
Yeah, and I think Fuller and Manu probably outscore Teddy and AJ this week.
Yeah, I think so. John O'Davis, is Drinkwater a trade out? Yeah, we've kind of answered this one already. Has Teddy, worried about points? Yeah, Drinky to Teddy if you can make that happen this week is a no-brainer. Hayden Oddie, thoughts on trading Liam Henry, Samuel Afinu, and Dom... Liam Henry to Finu and Dom Young to Teddy? Or is that sideways? I mean, Henry to Finu, I wouldn't necessarily call that sideways. Dom Young to Teddy, probably not sideways either. I don't mind it personally. I'd probably pull the trigger on that.
Wait,
I rate it.
Liam
with
Henry
the hamstring injury
to Dom Young and Teddy. No, I'm not.
So Henry to Finu and Dom Young to Teddy.
No, I'm not keen on that.
No, all right.
Like, I think we missed the boat on Finu if you don't have him already. Like, he is 480k,
500,
and he scored 62 last. Wait, what?
No, he's 480. You're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's 480. He scored 62 last week with a try assist and a line break assist. Like, it's, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd just go Liam Henry to Porter and just use the cash elsewhere.
So I hope we helped, Hayden. Jason Murphy.
Said do it. I said don't. Hopefully, hope this helps.
Yes. We talked about Burton being a buy already, so we'll skip that one, Ian. Would you trade Holmes or Drinky first for Teddy? So I'd probably trade Drinky first personally.
Yeah, just because Holmes, as much as he's like a luxury trade out, he's probably a centre wing 4 or 5 for the run home. So, yeah.
I think so.
Surely he's better than that.
Nah, I reckon 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've got Lomax above. I've got probably Dom Young above. Maybe not Manu.
Manu above as well, yeah. Minimum 4.
Brian Toto. Yeah.
Grimesy has Marshall King and Robson. Should I sell one of them to free up cash?
No.
Probably no, there's no need. They actually complement each other really nicely because Marshall King will cover Robson during this week and 19. So, hold. I like that little combo. Unless you plan on going to Grant for the run home, I think those two are perfectly fine as your hooker 1 and 2. Is Porter a buy if it funds Teddy from Galvin? Yeah, absolutely. If Porter should be probably the first guy you're looking at, I think, if you want to free up cash this week. Agent Cheese is bringing up a player we haven't spoken about at all on the pod.
I saw him pumping this on Twitter. He was pumping the Brian Kelly propaganda on Twitter earlier this week.
What are we thinking? I mean, is Val worth the trade to Kelly? We probably answer that by saying no. He's the only way that he can make it work. But I mean, let's just talk Brian Kelly in general. Any love for him? I mean, I think he scored 100 in like fucking 70 odd games. So,
yeah, but I think Cheese brought up a good point. He hasn't gone below 60 in like ages.
Yeah, since round 3.
Yeah, hasn't gone under 60. We're sleeping on Brian Kelly. We sleep on him every year. I've just got Brian Kelly tainted in my head because in 2021, he was like 480 and Brian Toto was like 501 to start the season. And I was like, fuck it, we'll go Brian Kelly. And Brian Toto.
You went super pod, didn't you?
Yeah. And then 2021, obviously Brian To'o turned into the greatest player of all time. But
The battle of the Bryans.
Brian Kelly this year, 30, 45, 45. Shit start to the season. Since then, 83, 81, 73, 75, 50, 63, 73, 71, 65, 61. He is boring, but he is just pumping out scores week after week. And I wouldn't be selling Val to him if you can, like, I don't hate, and this is very boring and repetitive, but like generic prop to Porter via some jewels, and then like Armstrong to Brian Kelly's kind of hot.
Yeah, I can.
Or like even like an Hero or just somebody like that. Like
a Blaze to Kelly's 30k.
I just don't want somebody that has the ceiling of 150 to bring in Brian Kelly. I can't do that.
Get AKP in if you want a big ceiling.
Yeah, do that. I love that.
All right. Rowan, I don't know what this question is. Did you start this one, Mattrix?
Yeah. I'm a GoldenEye guy myself. Like a big Nintendo 64 guy. And like GoldenEye is just better than Perfect Dark. Like you get your guys around, like you plug in all your 4 controllers. Like GoldenEye is the play.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I don't have anything to add on that. Oh, GoldenEye was like a go-to Nintendo 64 game, though. Like it's
yeah. And Perfect Dark was the other one that people played.
So you guys are a little bit older than me. I wasn't a Nintendo 64 guy, but then I'll bring up GoldenEye on the 64 versus Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on the PS1.
Oh, I've sunk some serious hours into Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
Yeah, for sure. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 is like great to play, but like GoldenEye, like you're sitting there, you've just popped the popcorn, you've just got like 4 liters of Pepsi Max, you've got your friends around. Like GoldenEye is the jam.
GoldenEye is a more multiplayer, friends over kind of game to play, I think.
So I thankfully have an okay computer setup where I've got emulators for everything. I don't have a 64 emulator, but I might get one just so I can play GoldenEye so I can experience. Because I've always heard good things about it, but I was a PS1 kid growing up, so definitely going up.
I had the choice.
I'll play with you.
Yeah.
So we've gone from Pepsi to just now cans of piss.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not 11 anymore.
No, you're 45 apparently. What do we got? Barbecue and garlic sauce on a snack pack. Very important question. This is an absolute yes from me. That's automatic. Garlic.
We were talking about this the other day. So I jumped on the podcast on Sunday. My nose was watering because I tried the new. We were talking about Subway orders the week before. I tried the new Subway hot sauce. Holy fuck! It is hot. Okay. It's like the new Marisa sauce. It's hot, but on a snack pack, I think it's barbecue, garlic, aioli, and then it's just like hot chili or sweet chili. Like if you're a bitch, like you get 3 sauces.
Yeah, I just get 2. I'm boring. I'm a barbecue and garlic guy. That's me.
Mattrix.
Oh yeah, I go barbecue sauce and aioli because that comes in.
No one else is adding sweet chili or hot chili.
No.
Oh my god.
To be fair,
I don't really need that lead in my pencil.
I'm not good with hot food in general. I'm a bit of a pussy, so don't put that hot sauce around me. Let's get back to Supercoach very quickly. Is Teddy a must-have this week? I think we said he's the buy of the week, so yes. I assume that probably means yes. Terrell May to Piakura. No, yuck.
No, only because Piakura is not playing this week, because he is always a genuine chance of scoring a double and getting you 67. So... love that.
Yeah, I'd rather more than 67 for my doubles. Haggy, we talked about Ruben Porter as enough for the week, so we'll cover that. And how many trades do we have left? I've got 15 before trades this week. Matrix?
17 before
I've
trades
got,
for me.
Yeah, I've got 16 before trades, but I'm going to have 14 afterwards. So I'm, bringing Rubes. I'm bringing the sandwich in this week.
Okay, good. And the last question, Braino, would you go Teddy and Azarko or Dom and Manu? And this is the reason Hamo asks every single week is so that he can do the opposite of what I tell him. So I would go Teddy and Azarko. So pull the trigger on Dom and Manu this week, mate. I reckon it's a lock. And I'll probably just put a curse on Teddy and Azarko. So you're welcome.
All right.
We nearly cracked the 2-hour mark. We've covered all the questions, I think. I know we've missed a ton, and we appreciate them all coming through. Thanks for ripping in and asking your questions every single week, guys. But that'll do us for this week for round 16. Thanks for watching. You can join the Discord and get involved in the chat in the Insight Discord. The link is in the description below. So click on that, jump on in and have a chat. We've got some legends in there that love talking, not just NRL Supercoach, but AFL and all the other Supercoach sports, and also some NBA and NFL fantasy as well. And if you're an FPL guy, we've got a channel in there for that too. So all sorts of fantasy sports in there. Jump on in. And if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe and like. We would appreciate it. We've got one more episode to come for the week. We've got the Q&A for the Insight Unlimited members as well. So that'll come out tomorrow night or Thursday. But otherwise, guys, good luck for the week. Hopefully some green arrows and we can come into the final 3 rounds of the bye period a little bit better. But have a good one, guys. We will see you for the Sunday wrap-up next week. Catch you later.
Cheerio.